This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. President Clinton and the rest of the world are trying to focus tonight on the possible rise of fascism in Russia and on a new twist to an old mystery, how to avoid a collision with Russia.
President Clinton and his aides tonight have given up trying to put an optimistic spin on the Russian election returns. They admit they are worried about the first-place finish of an ultra-nationalist party and the rise of Vladimir Zhirinovsky, whose views they describe as anathema to democracy. Moscow correspondent Cindy Kennard begins our coverage.
The man who is worrying the world, Russia's far-right nationalist Vladimir Zhirinovsky, sought to put a new spin on his old image. 2 days after his party finished first in Russia's parliamentary elections, Zhirinovsky declared he was not anti-Semitic, but then complained there are too many Jews on Russian TV. Zhirinovsky also said he's ready to work with the West, but declared Russia should produce more weapons and sell them to countries like Iraq. The Yeltsin government calls Zhirinovsky a fascist and says he will lead the nation to disaster. Zhirinovsky claims he's a Democrat, but today boasted of congratulations from a German neo-Nazi party. Careful to display the charm that helped him win this election, Zhirinovsky then offered friendship to America and invited the Clintons to meet with him during the January summit.
My wife would like to be introduced to Madame Hillary.
Zhirinovsky scolded the press for ignoring him up to now. You'll come to know us better, he said, and announced he's running for president of Russia. Cindy Kennard, CBS News, Moscow.
Russia's next presidential election isn't scheduled until 1996, but the right wing now has a powerful base in parliament. Latest projections give the ultra-nationalists 67 seats to 38 for the leading pro-Yeltsin party. The Communist Party is third with 31 seats. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin has more on the impact of these elections on U.S.-Russian relations.
With the votes in Russia still being counted, Vice President Gore arrived in Moscow to set up a January summit between Bill Clinton and Boris Yeltsin, a summit that suddenly has a huge cloud hanging over it. Gore acted the perfect guest, avoiding the subject of Russia's sudden lurch to the right. But a senior official traveling with him said, if this holds, it's very bad. In Washington, the president put the best face possible on the election returns.
I think it was probably largely a protest vote. I think that when people are having a tough time, and they have a tough time over a long period of years, they often look for simple answers. It's not unique to Russia.
This was Russia's first democratic election in 75 years. As the world's foremost champion of democracy, the U.S. cannot criticize the results simply because it doesn't like them. But there is no disguising the fact that the big winner, ultranationalist Vladimir Zhirinovsky, is nobody's favorite in Washington.
His published statements are really an anathema to so many things we believe in. They're totally inconsistent with our views of human rights as well as the relations with the adjacent countries.
It is too early to know whether the hardliners can force Yeltsin to back off his pro-Western reforms and in turn force Bill Clinton to back off his so far unequivocal support for Yeltsin.
The Clinton administration has to broaden the base of its contacts in Russia. The administration is going to have to think again about how far its idea of a strategic partnership can really be pushed.
The Clinton administration will continue to back political and economic reform in Russia, and that means Yeltsin. He is, after all, still the president and now has a new constitution which gives him more power than before. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Nowhere are the shock waves from Russia being felt more than in Eastern Europe. Countries that were occupied by Soviet troops until a few years ago are now appealing for help from the West against a new wave of Russian militarism. CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips is on the scene in Poland.
In Poland, the Russian elections had the effect of political cannon fire. Here, where Western observers have been invited to army maneuvers as part of the Polish push to join NATO, any imperial stirrings by the Russian bear are taken seriously. So seriously that today Polish President Lech Wałęsa went public about his fears of Russian expansionism and the protection he wants from NATO. If tensions were rising, he told CBS News, he was sure who was to blame.
Of course, Russia and irresponsible politicians in Russia who are trying to blackmail NATO and the world. And the question is whether the world will allow itself to be blackmailed. Poland certainly will not.
The fear is that if NATO does not fill the Eastern European power vacuum, particularly in Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, the Russians will. But the Russians have their own fears.
Well, the one fear that they voiced is that the extension of NATO into Poland would pose a direct military threat to Russia.
An East-West confrontation, and when's the last time you heard that phrase, may be the last thing Poland's nascent capitalist economy needs. But the rise of a right-wing Russian expansionist nationalist to the east has certainly concentrated minds here, and the Poles hope it'll concentrate minds in Washington as well.
If they'll not include us, then we'll have the confrontational model built up again here in Europe.
In a neighborhood of Warsaw, a monument honors the Soviet Red Army liberators of Poland in World War II. Poland has had just about as much liberation as it can stand over the centuries. Its campaign to join NATO is based on a fear of being liberated again. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Warsaw.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the kidnapping and murder of 2 Missouri girls has parents everywhere worried about their children.
And the Packwood Diaries, accusations tonight that the senator altered the tapes.
Here's a whole other kind of chip. Presto Chip Shot Potato Chipper. Slices so thin they gotta be crisp. Regular or ripple. Fry them up. Even microwave for a light, no-fat chip. Flavor them the way you like. From Presto.
How fast does Ambisol start to relieve toothache pain? Before you can say
Ambisol.
Canker sore pain? Before you can say
Ambisol.
Relieve minor mouth pain on contact with Ambisol in regular or maximum strength.
If you suffer from sinus pain and pressure, take Dristan Sinus. It contains ibuprofen with 40 million prescriptions, but combined at non-prescription strength with a decongestant doctors recommend most. Both are available in Dristan Sinus. It'll relieve pressure and ease sinus pain, all without drowsiness. Dristan Sinus, with 2 doctor-recommended medicines. And there is a full line of Dristan products that's right for you. Dristan.
A startling development tonight in the investigation of Senator Bob Packwood. The Senate Ethics Committee is looking into charges of sexual harassment and other possible wrongdoing by the Oregon Republican. Packwood has been fighting a subpoena for his personal diaries. Tonight, there are allegations that Packwood has been doctoring those diaries. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has the latest.
Some basic questions.
No comment, period.
Kathy Wagner-Cormack, the former Packwood staffer who transcribed his diaries, wasn't talking to reporters. But in a sworn statement filed in federal court today, she said flatly that Packwood had altered the diaries. Senate lawyers say Ms. Cormack told them under oath last week that Packwood, quote, took back some tapes in my possession which I had not yet transcribed. At a later time, it appeared to me that he may have made some revisions to those tapes. Subsequently, he confirmed that he had. Ms. Cormack says the alterations were made after the Senate Ethics Committee began an investigation of allegations against Packwood, ranging from sexual harassment to whether he did favors for a lobbyist who offered his wife a job. Senate lawyers say the diaries are crucial to that investigation and urge the judge to seize them immediately. Today's filings also suggest Packwood's troubles are mounting in more ways than one, since the lawyers now allege that even after Ms. Cormack left his staff, Packwood continued to pay her with government funds to work on his personal diaries.
No comment yet from Packwood on these new allegations, but there will be a court hearing on Thursday on whether he must hand over the diaries, which he says would violate his constitutional rights. In the meantime, his friends believe he's trying to cut a deal, that if the Justice Department and the Ethics Committee would drop their investigations, he would agree to resign from the Senate. So far, however, the investigators don't appear interested in a deal. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
Frightened parents in suburban St. Louis are holding an urgent meeting tonight about the safety of their children. It's something they can no longer take for granted because, as correspondent Scott Pelley reports, a child killer is still on the loose.
Today, the FBI says the kidnap and murder of 2 Missouri girls is now the Bureau's most important case.
This case is put at the top of our priority list as an absolute top priority.
Urgent because police fear it's a serial killer. 9-year-old Angie Hausman was murdered last month. 2 weeks later, 10-year-old Cassidy Center disappeared.
If whoever has my baby is watching, I just want you to know she's my only child. She's my life. She's everything to me.
The day after her mother's plea, Cassidy was found dead. Police call the murders strikingly similar.
Want a cinnamon roll?
Around St. Louis today, parents are guarding their children. Cheryl Gabriel's daughters went to school with Cassidy.
The youngest one asked, why would God let bad people take this girl and kill her?
They used to walk to the bus. Now Cheryl drives them. It's half a block.
You don't think you can let your kids out of your house in your
No,
own
not by
neighborhood?
themselves, no.
Of course, it's not just St. Louis. The number of kidnappings across the country is growing. The FBI estimates there are now more than 2,000 open cases of children taken against their will and still missing. John Walsh hosts the TV show America's Most Wanted. He is also the father of a murdered son.
I would like to see a federal law that makes all kidnappings of children and homicides of children a federal crime punishable by death.
In St. Louis, there are hundreds of leads, and several people are being questioned. Sunday, Cassidy Center was buried. The end of one mother's tragedy, while across the nation hundreds of others wait, their children still missing. Scott Pelley, CBS News, St. Louis.
In Denver, a judge ruled today that Colorado's anti-gay rights measure approved by state voters is unconstitutional, but Colorado's state attorney general immediately vowed to appeal the ruling all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary. The FBI today opened up its files on Jack Ruby, the man who gunned down President Kennedy's alleged assassin 30 years ago. The more than 21,000 pages of uncensored documents include a CIA memo concluding that Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald, quote, never knew each other, unquote. A lie detector test indicating Ruby probably was telling the truth, in the FBI's opinion, when Ruby denied involvement in any assassination conspiracy. And a childhood evaluation of Ruby describing him as, again, quote, quick-tempered.
Stay with us now for more of the CBS Evening News, including a new book that President Clinton and Pat Robertson want you to read.
Panasonic presents a unique and highly evolved Smooth Operator. The new Smooth Operator 2 with float control is the only razor to unite the comfort of twin independent floating heads with the closeness of a warm, wet shave. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. The new Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you would be. It's coming to your town, to your street. It's even coming to your home. The worst flu in years. Soaring fever, racking cough, severe body ache. For flu this tough, you'll need Maximum Strength Theraflu. No hot liquid medicine is more powerful, made to relieve your worst flu symptoms in nighttime or new daytime non-drowsy formula. Maximum Strength Theraflu. It's tougher than the toughest flu.
Hello.
So, what'd you think of that Bonneville? Did you drive it?
Oh, that SSCI is terrific.
Yeah.
Supercharged, traction control, ABS, dual airbags, leather. What a car.
I told you.
And you were right. It's thousands less than the BMW or the Lexus.
Well,
I'm picking it up tomorrow. I owe you one, pal.
okay. I'll take a white one.
We'll be live from Covent Garden with Mark McEwen.
Plus, from the all-star cast of Geronimo, Jason Patrick joins us.
Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, Breakfast for Your Head.
The United States and Europe capped 7 years of negotiation with an all-night bargaining session in Geneva, Switzerland. When it was over this morning, they had finally cleared the way for a possible new world trade agreement. 100 more nations are expected to approve the deal before the deadline tomorrow. Tom Fenton reports from Geneva.
It appears to be all over but the shouting.
The biggest trade deal in history left French farmers angered today at losing some of the European subsidies that gave them a competitive edge over American farmers. But the French are crowing over what they see as a victory over the giant U.S. film and television industry. The French fear a growing invasion of American blockbusters will devastate their film and television industry and warp their culture. The U.S. was pressing for freer access to the European entertainment market, but caved in today at the last minute. Hollywood lobbyist Jack Valenti was furious that America's third largest export will be left out of the treaty. The 500-page document to be finalized here tomorrow slashes tariffs and trade barriers around the world. When fully phased in, it could add as much as $200 billion a year to the American economy.
We are now on the verge of an historic victory in our efforts to open foreign markets to American products.
Successful American exporters like Caterpillar see it as the mother of all trade agreements, the equivalent of 14 NAFTAs.
Well, what it allows you to do is to think globally. I mean, for the last 4 months, everyone's been talking about a regional trade pact. And that's fine, but the Mexican economy is about the same size as the Ohio economy.
There will be both gain and pain. Economists figure the average American family will save $200 a year in clothing bills from the gradual elimination of textile quotas. But the industry fears it could lose up to 1 million American jobs to low-wage countries. Highly protected industries such as steel will feel the full blast of market forces. Some American and foreign companies may not survive the elimination of tariffs and quotas. This is an all-or-nothing deal. Congress will have to accept or reject the entire package. And since it's so much bigger than NAFTA and will have such far-reaching effects on the American economy, ratification may not be easy or automatic. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Geneva.
A chunk of a mountain came tumbling down on the outskirts of Cairo today. At least 34 people were killed and dozens more could be trapped under the rocks. 9 buildings were destroyed and scores of people were left homeless.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, the billion-dollar battle between the vitamin industry and the federal government.
Freeze! Hey, guys, it's only vitamins.
Here's a great big idea.
Salad shooter!
From Presto, professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity and power. Special blades to point and slice thick, slice thin, shred, even ripple cut. Right way you want.
Salad shooter!
From Presto.
So at Jenny's school play, I get this cough. Somebody handed me these Robitussin cough drops. They worked right away, and I could feel those vapors. Robitussin took the spotlight off me and put it where it belonged.
Robitussin cough drops from the cough experts.
When I got Dave a new electric shaver, I didn't know if he'd like it. But I shouldn't have worried, because I selected the Wall Custom Shave System. Wall gives you a choice, sensitive, close, or super close. First, Dave tried the sensitive foil. He liked it. Then he used the close foil. Smooth. Sometimes Dave prefers the super close foil when he wants to be really close. So whether your man's tender or tough, the Wall Custom Shave System, the shaver of choice.
I was blown away when my dentist told me I had tartar. Doctor, I said, I use regular baking soda toothpaste. My teeth feel clean. Jakey said, it's not enough. Use new Tartar Control Crest with baking soda and your teeth will be cleaner.
Now you can get the clean feeling of baking soda and proven tartar control from Crest in a toothpaste that prevents tartar better than regular baking soda toothpaste.
So I brushed with Tartar Control Crest with baking soda, and my next visit's great. I finally cleaned up my act.
A smart choice from the dentist's choice.
Do you want to get rich?
$2 million.
Do you want to get even?
I hope it breaks the state.
See you in court. An all-new 48 Hours Wednesday.
New research out tonight about ovarian cancer. A study involving nearly 80,000 women found a greatly reduced risk of developing ovarian cancer in women who had had their tubes tied or had other forms of tubal sterilization. No one knows for sure why this would lower the risk of ovarian cancer, but the finding supports earlier studies.
There are all sorts of health claims made about the vitamins and mineral supplements bought by millions of Americans. But the federal government is again demanding proof of those health claims. CBS News health correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott has the story.
The war between the $3 billion a year dietary supplement industry and the federal government is escalating. Tomorrow, the FDA will set strict new standards for vitamin labels. No longer will it permit products to promote a health benefit unless there is significant agreement among scientists that they really work.
Many of these products smack of health fraud. These regulations will give us a tool to address that problem.
The FDA is seeking to censor truthful, non-misleading information about how dietary supplements support the health of the human body.
For months, the supplement industry has waged an all-out media campaign against the new regulations, claiming if the FDA gets its way, consumers can kiss their supplements goodbye.
Hey, guys, it's only vitamins.
TV commercials starring actor Mel Gibson being busted for possession of vitamins are the latest industry tactic to win public support.
Vitamin C, like in oranges.
The campaign is working. Frightened consumers have sent thousands of letters to Congress, begging their representatives not to let the government take away their vitamins. The FDA says consumers have nothing to worry about.
The regulations will have no effect on consumers' access to the full array of vitamin, mineral, amino acid, and herbal products on the market today.
Consumer groups say the supplement industry is using scare tactics to avoid government regulations of any kind.
The industry is trying to pass legislation which would exempt supplement products from truth and labeling laws. This is really what they're after.
The new regulations will not go into effect until the middle of next year. Until then, the vitamin industry vows to continue its intense lobbying effort to curb the FDA's authority over dietary supplements. Dr. Bob Arnott, CBS News, New York.
The Standard, an automobile seat that may transfer bumps from the road and aggravate your back. The higher standard in the all-new Cadillac DeVille is new suspension seating, which acts like a shock absorber for the driver's back, isolating you from bumps to help reduce back pressure and increase circulation, which should leave you more refreshed mile after mile. Suspension seating in the new V8-powered DeVille by Cadillac, creating a higher standard.
If you have problems falling asleep, now your world is about to change. Introducing Unisom Sleep Gels with a special liquid center. They're maximum strength, so they're as effective as anything you can get without a prescription. They help you fall asleep fast and wake up refreshed. If you have problems falling asleep, try new maximum strength Unisom Sleep Gels. A remarkable new idea from Unisom.
Day after day, you make those glasses of thick Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all disappear with FiberCon? Doctor-recommended FiberCon gives you the same fiber regularity in tablets.
Easy-to-swallow tablets.
Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Norelco says don't shave your legs, baby them. With Norelco's incredibly close, comfortable shave that leaves you baby smooth, baby soft. Norelco Lady Shave Razors, dry or wet, we make close comfortable.
How fast do you think we could sell our home?
What if we find a great house before we sell ours?
These answers and more are here in Answers from ERA, your guide to buying and selling a home. Helpful tips, financial worksheets, it's all here. For your free copy, call 1-800-TO-ASK-ERA. When it comes to just the kind of help you'd expect from a friend, ERA wrote the book. ERA, first in service.
This country was founded by men and women seeking religious freedom. It is a freedom guaranteed in the Constitution, right there in the Bill of Rights, right along with freedom of speech. So why are so many Americans now reluctant to speak freely about their religion? Correspondent Anthony Mason looks at a theory that even got President Clinton's attention in tonight's Eye on America.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
We are a nation of believers.
I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
In a country that separates church and state.
Lord, hear our prayer.
We pledge ourselves.
One nation, under God.
But religion has become one of the most divisive forces in politics.
God, please be merciful to us.
In the angry debate over abortion, has religion been so tainted that many Americans are now afraid to express their faith?
Have we, as a new book suggests, created a culture of disbelief?
The message of Stephen Carter's controversial book is, as he writes, that contemporary culture tells us it's all right to believe as long as we keep it to ourselves. It's a thesis that has politicians left, right, and center listening, in part because the author is not, as you might expect, a white, right-wing Republican.
By the church.
He's an Episcopalian, a law professor at Yale, and Stephen Carter believes attitudes began changing after the 1973 Supreme Court decision on abortion.
I think a lot of liberals looked at the strong anti-abortion activism couched in religious terms and said, oh, religion in public equals anti-abortion. I don't want to fall into that equation, so I will just stop being religious in public.
Carter's book has been welcomed on the religious right. Pat Robertson.
Stephen Carter being a black, Stephen Carter being perceived as a liberal, to come out and say that we are deliberately driving religion out of the public arena to the damage of the nation has been a really helpful thing.
But Robertson's exclusionary rhetoric, Carter argues, is part of the problem.
Traditional values start with faith in Almighty God.
Someone on the right will make a terribly divisive speech, and someone on the left will see, that's why religion is dangerous, and someone on the right will say, look, they think religion is dangerous, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
But that may be changing. President Clinton recently called the culture of disbelief required reading. And when the president's portrait was unveiled at Yale, Carter's book was in his hand.
Then don't mess with my church, don't mess with my pastor, and please...
A number of primetime TV shows have introduced religious characters, including Norman Lear's newest sitcom.
We have virtually made it impossible for people to discuss these things at their dinner tables. It's an embarrassment. And we've simply got to return to being able to talk about it. It's just too important and too worthwhile.
I have a dream today.
The irony is that religious rhetoric was once used by liberals to further causes they believed in.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
The rhetoric of the civil rights movement was a rhetoric so glorious that it was able to touch the hearts of even people of different religious traditions or people of no religious tradition.
Stephen Carter may have started a quiet revolution by suggesting that when religion and politics intersect, there should be room for both. We may not like some rhetoric, he says, but religion is not the enemy. We are, after all, a nation of believers.
Through him.
In New Haven, Connecticut, I'm Anthony Mason for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up tomorrow on CBS This Morning, attorneys F. Lee Bailey and Alan Dershowitz about the Michael Jackson case. Will he get a fair hearing in court?
And Dan and I will see you again tomorrow here on the CBS Evening News. Thank you for joining us, and for all of us at CBS News, good night.
Good night.
Experience CBS News.
They call him Dr. Death. He has assisted terminally ill people to commit suicide, but controversy surrounds him.
I have some uneasy feelings about Dr. Kevorkian.
I don't want any Dr. Deaths coming to Illinois.
Has he helped the idea of assisted suicide or hurt it? Eye on America investigates tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.